Have you seen this girl? Yeah, her. She was just 17, a TikTok star with over 1 million followers. But the way she was killed, it was as if her life meant nothing. 2 bullets inside her own home. No warning, no mercy. And the worst part, she was killed simply because she said no. Today we're diving into a case that shook Pakistan. The murder of Sana Yousaf. June 2, 2025, Islamabad, Sector G13. Around 5 p.m., 2 gunshots shattered the silence. 17-year-old Sana Yousaf, a rising TikTok star with over 1 million followers, collapsed inside her own home. She had been shot twice in the chest. Her phone, an iPhone worth over 100,000 rupees, was stolen, and before anyone could get her to a hospital, she was already gone. It's the kind of story that forces you to stop and ask, how? How could a girl who inspired so many and stood for something meaningful end like this? Sana Yousaf was more than a social media influencer. She was a voice, a force. Born in Chitral, a quiet region far from the limelight, Sana used her online platform to celebrate her culture and speak out for women's rights. At just 17, she had built a massive following on TikTok and Instagram, where she shared lip-sync videos, skincare tips, and bold, empowering messages. She danced in traditional Chitrali attire, proudly representing her roots. She encouraged girls to seek education, to speak up, and to dream bigger. To her followers, Sana wasn't just another content creator. She was hope in human form, a symbol of strength from a small town reaching the world stage. But on that June evening, her story was cut short, brutally. The attack was intentional, cold, calculated. 2 9-man bullets were fired at close range, hitting her square in the chest. She collapsed immediately. The assailant didn't just take her life, he also took her phone, possibly to erase evidence or maybe just to add insult to injury. Sana's aunt, who was at home during the attack, said the shooter wore a mask and fled the scene quickly. Her parents were away when it happened, and by the time they arrived, their daughter, brilliant, fearless, loved, was already gone. At just 17 years old, Sana Yousaf's life ended in violence no one saw coming. Her laughter, her voice, her dreams, all silenced by 2 bullets. This wasn't just a murder, it was a message, a brutal reminder of how even the brightest lights can be snuffed out in an instant. But this story isn't over. Who was behind it? Why would someone do this? And how will investigators piece together the truth from the shadows? Stay with us, because what comes next is even more chilling. At exactly 5:07 p.m., Islamabad police received a distress call. A frightened woman's voice reported gunshots in Sector G13. Within minutes, patrol cars with sirens blaring were racing toward the home where everything had just changed forever. But who pulled the trigger? And how would the truth come to light? When officers arrived on the scene, it was confirmed. The crime had taken place inside the home of 17-year-old TikTok star Sana Yousaf. Her aunt, the only eyewitness at the time, told police she saw a masked man fire 2 shots and flee the house. This crucial statement gave police their first lead. The investigation officially began. Forensic teams swept the home. 2 9-inch bullet casings were recovered at the scene, standard caliber, but deadly. Fingerprints were collected, but the presence of a mask suggested the suspect had come prepared. He wasn't careless, he was cautious. And then came another disturbing detail. Sana's iPhone was missing. Was this a robbery gone wrong, or was that just a distraction? Investigators weren't convinced. Something didn't add up. The team quickly turned to CCTV. Over 113 surveillance cameras in and around Sector G13 were reviewed. One camera captured a red motorcycle speeding away from the area at 5:12 p.m., the rider's face completely obscured. Another camera showed a masked man entering the Yousaf home just minutes earlier. It was clear now. The crime was swift, calculated, and meticulously timed. Police constructed a timeline. Based on the aunt's statement, the suspect entered the home, committed the murder, and fled. All within 10 minutes. There were no signs of forced entry, leading police to believe this wasn't random. He knew exactly what he was walking into. But why her? Why Sana? That's when investigators turned to her digital life. Her TikTok and Instagram profiles were reviewed. The Digital Rights Foundation flagged a name, Umar Hayat, a man from Faisalabad who had been obsessively messaging Sana for over a year. Recently, he had relocated to Islamabad. Could he be the killer? Police were suspicious, but so far they had no proof. Then, on the morning of June 3rd, a tip changed everything. A red motorbike matching the one seen on CCTV was found abandoned in a narrow alleyway in Islamabad. Forensics lifted fingerprints and DNA from the bike, the registration traced back to Faisalabad. It was the breakthrough they needed. Police launched raids in Faisalabad, tapped phones, and interrogated several suspects. Public pressure mounted. On social media, justice for Sana Yousaf began to trend across the country. Every lead mattered. Every second counted. But the full truth was still out of reach. The bullet casings, the CCTV footage, the red motorbike. Each was a piece of the puzzle, but the face behind the crime remained hidden. Watching this investigation unfold makes one thing painfully clear. Every clue, every minute was critical. The police weren't just chasing a killer. They were chasing justice for a young woman who had already inspired millions and who deserved so much more. Could they find the truth in time? What would the next clue reveal? And most importantly, who was Umar Hayat? On June 3rd, 2025, Islamabad police arrested a 22-year-old man named Umar Hayat, the person behind the brutal murder of TikTok star Sana Yousaf. He was found in Faisalabad, hiding inside a relative's home. When officers raided the house, they recovered the same red motorbike seen fleeing the crime scene, the murder weapon, and Sana's stolen iPhone. But the biggest question still lingered. Why? What could drive someone to such cruelty? During initial interrogation, Umar confessed. He admitted that he was the one who shot Sana on June 2nd. He told investigators he had tried multiple times to get close to her. He wanted to be her friend. But Sana had repeatedly rejected him. According to him, those rejections felt like humiliation. He said, "She kept turning me down, again and again. I felt insulted, and I just couldn't take it anymore." It wasn't a robbery, it wasn't a random act of violence, it was personal, obsessive, and deliberate. Police uncovered that Umar had been messaging Sana on social media for over a year, sending her unwanted texts, reacting to her videos, and even attempting to meet her on her birthday in Islamabad. But Sana focused on her career, her values, and her independence, ignored him. That silence, that no, it enraged him. And on June 2nd, Umar made a horrifying decision. If he couldn't have her, no one could. He wore a mask, carried a loaded weapon, entered her home, and fired 2 bullets into her chest. It was a crime driven not by opportunity, but by twisted entitlement, rejected ego, and toxic obsession. Legally, Umar Hayat was remanded to 14 days of judicial custody, lasting until June 17. He is currently held in a high-security prison in Islamabad under tight surveillance. Given the high-profile nature of the case and public outrage, he faces charges of murder and destruction of evidence, and the case is now in pre-trial proceedings. Prosecutors and police are assembling a strong portfolio of evidence, including the weapon, the 9-minute bullet casings, CCTV footage, and forensic matches. Umar Hayat's story is a chilling reminder of how dangerous unchecked obsession can become. A young woman full of life and promise had her future ripped away, all because someone refused to accept the word no. It's tragic, it's disturbing. And it's a call for society to recognize how denial, entitlement, and male ego, when left unchecked, can lead to devastating consequences. But is that the end of the story? Will Sana ever get justice? And will her family find peace? As the investigation progressed, formal charges were brought against Umar Hayat under multiple sections of the Pakistan Penal Code. The most serious of these was Section 302, which deals with premeditated murder. In addition, he was charged under Section 201 for tampering with evidence and Section 148 for possessing illegal weapons and acting with criminal intent. These charges reflect one thing clearly. The police were not taking this case lightly. They were committed to ensuring that Umar faced the full force of the law. But the wheels of justice move slowly. The court's final verdict is still pending, and legal proceedings can take time. In the days that followed the arrest, the emotional fallout was overwhelming. Sana's parents, Saeed Yousaf Hassan and Farzana Yousaf, broke their silence. Speaking to media, her father said, "She was so brave. We just want justice. Nothing will bring her back, but we want the truth to be heard." Their pain was visible, etched into their expressions, trembling in every word they spoke. They had lost more than a daughter, they had lost a life. Meanwhile, public outrage erupted across Pakistan. The hashtag Justice for Sana Yousaf trended on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thousands of people took to the streets, holding placards, chanting for justice and demanding accountability.
Sana Yousaf! Justice for 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 Sana Yousaf!
Not just for Sana, but for every woman whose safety has been compromised. Social media exploded with tributes, protests, and powerful posts. Many users pointed out that influencers like Sana, especially young women, face real, often invisible threats in the digital world. What appears as admiration from strangers can quickly turn into obsession, harassment, and, in the worst cases, violence. Activists and civil society organizations used this case to call for urgent legal reforms. They demanded stronger laws against online stalking, digital harassment, and gender-based violence. They urged the government to recognize that virtual spaces are not safe by default, and that women need both online and offline protection. This wasn't just a story about one girl. It was a national reckoning, a moment that forced everyone to confront how obsession, entitlement, and hate can cost lives. Sana's story is not just about tragedy. It's about how unchecked emotions, toxic mindsets, and digital danger zones can destroy everything. But it's also about the strength of a family, the power of public voices, and the possibility of change. This case left a scar, but it also sparked a movement. And now, what happens next is up to us. Final message: this documentary ends here, but its message should live on. If Sana's story moved you, don't let it stop here. Share this video, talk about it, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. Because when you support content that shines a light on these hidden realities, you're not just watching a story, you're becoming a part of the fight for justice. You're helping raise awareness, and together, we can build a world where no voice is silenced by violence. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. For Sana, for justice, for change,